Welcome back to Liberty Nation TV. This is Scott Cosenza, your host. I'm here with Mark Angelides, our managing editor and resident of the United Kingdom, recently freed from the jaws of Brexit. Mark, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Now, Mark, I have to say I'm a little disappointed. I feel like we just let you guys, get some freedom, and or not that we let you, but you just did achieve some freedom, and we were rooting for you there. And here we are. What are you doing with it? You're Boris Johnson setting up some commission to further restrict the speech rights of residents of the UK. Say it ain't so, Mark. What's going on?
Sadly, it is. Yeah, the government has just brought out a new paper detailing certain regulations that will apply to all internet companies that operate within the United Kingdom. So that includes UK-based ones and ones from overseas. For example, the big boys in Silicon Valley, on how they must essentially increase censorship of people, especially content creators, on various social media channels and also news channels, which have like commenting sections, things like that.
Things like YouTube videos discussing a certain issue, perhaps.
Almost certainly, yeah. How
will it work, Mark? What's the idea?
Well, very simple. There's been the Office of Communications, which is essentially the nanny of the communications industry. So it regulates television, it regulates radio, broadcasts, and even the postal service to some degree. We call it Ofcom. And so Ofcom is now going to be responsible. Now, Ofcom is not a government body. It's a government-approved body. And it will be responsible for setting up a range of restrictions, guidelines on how and what will internet companies will have to censor, and guidelines on how they should be doing it. So this is really, the reality here is that the big boys who are in the market, your Facebooks, your YouTube, this won't be too burdensome for them because they have whole departments dedicated to this kind of thing. But any smaller outfits, any smaller companies, it will really burden them to the point where they can't even function. So it's cutting down a lot of avenues for free speech, free expression outside of the Overton window. This
kind of advocacy for increased government in a sector by an established player, I think, is not focused on often enough, Mark. It occurs in other areas. We have the same thing very often. It'll occur here in the States. There, like, for instance, a toy company will be in favor of some insanely onerous and expensive toy testing that costs, $10,000 per new type of toy. Well, if you're selling gobs and gobs of them, that's an easy cost to absorb. If you're only going to sell 50 of them, though, if it's a homemade thing or a small production, you can't absorb the cost, so you're out. And meanwhile, the companies advocating for more government look like they get to be the heroic actors in the marketplace, right? Well, meanwhile, it's just self-dealing. Well,
yeah, essentially this kind of practice, it almost forces a monopoly, which is why the larger companies want it, because they want the monopoly. They want the smaller players out of the way, because it's often the smaller players that have the innovative new ideas. They're the ones that are pushing the envelope especially in the modern social media age. It's the newcomers who are making the big strides, and they want them out.
There were many times during the Brexit debates that Boris Johnson made my cold little black libertarian heart aflutter with some of his rhetoric and words about liberty and freedom. And yet here we are. Is Johnson an advocate and proponent of liberty, or is this a telling event that means maybe he's not?
Well, here's the thing. Many people who supported Brexit obviously voted for Boris Johnson in the recent December election, because he promised to deliver Brexit. Now, since then, it's been, to be completely fair, it's been, for people who are liberty-minded, it's been quite a disappointing tenure so far. There's been the HS2 rail issue, which is a £100 billion project, which nobody wants, nobody needs, and it's just costing, quite literally, it's more than double the budget since it started.
Well, I'm sure that the recipients of those billions, they see a need for the project, Mark. I would have to disagree.
Yes, they do, very much so. There's also talk of British fishing rights not being honored as they should be coming out of the European Union with the common fisheries policy. It appears that the government is not willing to put its stamp on the territorial waters of the United Kingdom, and is letting foreign boats into the waters still to receive a quota of the fish without any agreements in place. So for the liberty-minded, the Boris Johnson premiership is not going the way that was hoped. And this internet freedoms issue it really appears to be yet another nail in the coffin.
Well, we'll continue to count on you for keeping an eye out for these and other issues as you guys work your way through your new independence. Thank you so much for bringing this to the table, Mark.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for watching. For LibertyNation.com, this is Scott Cosenza. Bye-bye.
Hi, folks. Lisa K. Donner here, Editor-in-Chief of LibertyNation.com. We hope you enjoyed watching this video, maybe even learned a thing or two. If so, please take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there in the corner. Thanks so much.